Jasmine Crockett is in hot water over her Hot Wheels comment. Fani Willis was seen once again with her boo thang, Nathan Wade. And last but not least, the mavens of NPR and PBS were confronted with their own words and roasted for it live. It's time for my losers of the week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on the Tomi Lahren is Fearless YouTube page at Tomi Lahren is Fearless. The show starts now. So let's be honest, it wasn't exactly a trouble-free week for the administration, what with the whole Signal group chat debacle and all. But the good news is Democrats made just big enough asses of themselves so as to distract from a little hiccup over at Team Trump. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, Ratchet Jasmine, thank you for your service. Yes, Ratchet Jasmine had quite the whopper of a week. She managed to unlock a new low, a personal best for her, possibly, by making fun of Texas Governor Abbott for being wheelchair-bound, in case you missed it.
Because we in these hot Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot mess, honey. So yes.
Now, even Ratchet Jasmine knows that little joke went over like a lead balloon amongst folks with a shred of humanity, so she came up with a wild explanation to pass it off. She's really trying to have us believe she referred to wheelchair-bound Governor Abbott as Hot Wheels because he bussed and flew illegal migrants to blue cities. Sure. But when asked to apologize, well, this is the best she could do.
I put out a statement regarding that.
You didn't apologize.
I put out a statement. Why would I apologize when I put out a statement? My statement was clear.
But you didn't apologize for calling him Governor Hot Wheels when he gets around in a wheelchair.
I don't know how many
that's
times.
offensive
I
to
don't.
people.
So read my statement.
I did read it. It did not have an apology.
Okay. Well, I'm done. With
You
this.
don't feel bad
I'm done
about
with
making
it.
fun
I'm
of
done.
someone
I'm
who...
done with it.
You know, what else could we expect from Ratchet Jasmine, though? After all, here is another clip of her from, again, just this week, spitting and swearing at a House proceeding.
In fact, I'm going to skip off real quick because they have tried to come for you, Miss Mayor. And I just want to clarify, you did not work for NPR when those statements were made, did you?
That is correct, Madam
And to
Chair.
be clear, free speech is not about whatever it is that y'all want somebody to say. And the idea that you want to shut down everybody that is not Fox News is we need to stop playing because that's what y'all are doing in here. You don't want to hear the opinions of anybody else. And the Constitution says Congress shall make no law respecting or establishing of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the
gentlewoman's time has expired.
Press.
The gentlewoman.
You know, I do love a swear word. I'm not a square, but I am getting a little sick of what are supposed to be dignified representatives of we the people repeatedly speaking like that. Ratchet Jasmine does it for effect and for attention. She's not just a loser, she's a classless loser who actually tries to be just that. Ew. But moving on to her kindred spirit, a woman we haven't had the pleasure of talking about, well, at least recently, Fani Willis. Remember just last year when she testified under oath, her relationship with her former lead prosecutor ended in 2023?
I don't believe I've had any conversation with him that is substantive related to this.
Okay.
I have had conversations with him since you filed the motion, but they wouldn't be substantive to this. He sent me very nice sermons that have been done. And so we've had conversations about, did you listen to that sermon?
Well, I guess that's a little weird because she was spotted at LAX with her Loverboy boothing Nathan Wade looking mighty cozy. Well, shucks, reunited and it feels so good, I guess, or probably more accurately, together the whole time and lied about it. Oh, Fani. But my last loser this week is the duo of NPR and PBS and the lovely ladies who run them. At a Doge hearing this week over the potential defunding of those taxpayer-funded programs, the ladies in charge were confronted with some ugly truths, their own words.
Why did you call President Trump a fascist and a deranged racist sociopath in 2020?
Congressman, I appreciate the opportunity to address this. I regret those tweets. I would not tweet them again today.
It's unfortunate that NPR ignored the Hunter Biden laptop story But y'all did talk quite a bit about the debunked Russia collusion.
I would love to say that we actually believe we made a mistake on the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Is NPR biased?
Congressman, I have never seen any instance of political bias determining editorial decisions. No.
In the D.C. area, editorial positions at NPR, he said he found 87 registered Democrats, 0 Republicans. Is that accurate?
We do not track the numbers or the voter registration.
87 to 0, and you're not biased.
I think that is concerning if those numbers are accurate.
She's just super concerned, but it's amazing what a swift change of heart you can have when you risk losing your entire job. Well, they are obviously way over their skis and likely out of their minds over there, but those are my losers of the week. Joining me in just a moment is Fox News contributor and Progressively Worse author Joe Concha. We'll be right back. All right, joining me now on the phone is my friend and Fox News contributor and author of Progressively Worse, Joe Concha. All right, Joe, I want to get into a lot of things of the week, but we have to get into what I think maybe is the first real hiccup in the Trump administration. I really want to know your reaction to it. The Signal group chat gate. How bad is it from a PR media perspective? And do you think it will die out by the time we hit the weekend?
You know me, Tomi. I'm kind of like you in the sense where we've criticized Donald Trump in the past, right? We've praised governors like Ron DeSantis when he was running against Trump for the primary. So in other words, I think the thought process is that, okay, we're two Fox people, you're outkick as well. Therefore, we're going to say this is no big deal and it's going to go away. Objectively, I will tell you this, Tomi. I think it's going to go away. And here's why. Because the Democrats that are screaming about this right now are the same ones that in 2016, let's put it this way, when James Comey decided not to prosecute Hillary Clinton for sensitive, highly classified documents on an unsecured server somewhere like in a bathroom closet that the Russians and the Chinese very easily or probably did hack. The minute Comey did that, Tomi, that made classified materials, yeah, it's wrong if you have them in the wrong place, but it's a little slap on the wrist wrong, and we know it's wrong, but we're going to move on. And we saw the same thing with Joe Biden with those documents next to the Corvette in a residential home in Delaware, and Democrats said, well, look, you know, he cooperated with everybody, and this is not really a big deal. When you downplay this over and over again, when it happens to you, then when it happens to Republicans in this case, the Trump cabinet members, I don't think they have a leg to stand on, because it's just like when they screamed about, well, eggs are too high after Donald Trump was in office for like 5 minutes, right? Or gas prices haven't gone down yet, or all these things. I'm sorry, after Afghanistan and 13 U.S. service members are killed, that's a far most horrible intelligence breakdown than anything that we just saw, where a journalist, if you want to call him a journalist, he's basically an activist, but fine, Jeffrey Goldberg should not have been on that text chain for Signal. They probably shouldn't be having the conversations they were on Signal. They should have gone to a skiff if they could. The problem is that when you're mobile, like J.D. Vance or Steve Witkoff, and you're all these different places, sometimes going through another kind of application is the only way to go. So if that was the case, then certain plans should have been shared. But I think the end result is no one died. The mission was carried out successfully, and Donald Trump's not going to fire anybody over this. So Democrats are going to scream about this for a while, and the media will as well. But I think people at home are kind of numb by this at this point, because they've seen it excused so many times and told that it's not that big of a deal, that I guess this is not that big of a deal either. And at least in this case, the only people that died were the Houthis, who have been attacking U.S. ships and other merchant vessels in the Suarez and the Red Sea for many years. That's my honest take, Tomi.
Yeah, I think it's going to die out as well. I think that there's just so much going on for them on the left to cry about that this will just be old news. I think that it was a gift to the left. I mean, let's be honest. They've been searching for something, and it certainly was a gift. I think that the early explanations were a misstep by the administration. I think when Mike Waltz was on with Laura Ingraham the other night, and he like feigned like he didn't know how Jeffrey Goldberg got in, and it could have been like aliens from space that plopped him in that group chat. I thought that was a misstep, but I think now it's like they've said, listen, it was a screw up. I think President Trump actually handled it the best of anybody in this situation, because he said, hey, listen, you know, it was a glitch, and maybe we aren't going to use Signal anymore, and lessons learned, and you know, you learn from these things, and I think that was the best approach. So I think it's going to die out by the weekend. They've got tariffs to be mad about now, so it'll be the tariffs on the cars. That'll probably be the latest thing. Oh, the stock market, the crying over that, I think, will take over the crying over the Signal group chat.
You're right.
But,
and I wish everybody followed
week.
Trump, by the way. You know, I wish everybody followed Trump and just said exactly that. Mistakes were made. This obviously is never going to happen again. As Trump said, the technology is not perfect. Maybe they thought it was another Jeffrey that was supposed to be on that call. Probably should have had some staffer make sure and check in with everybody to see who everybody was. All those things. If they just followed him, the way he just completely took a fire extinguisher to the story, that would have been the end of it. But I think there are too many people on the Trump team that talk too much and try to, for instance, discredit Jeffrey Goldberg. Trust me, he could be discredited quite easily. But in this case, he had the goods. I think he knew he had the goods, and he baited the Trump team into this. But yeah, just follow Trump's lead next time. He's gone through enough of these things, and I think they would have been fine. So sorry, I know you want to move on, and I just want to get that 2 cents.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. So, you know, as we wrap up that, I would have to ask you, Joe Concha, have you ever accidentally text the wrong person or added somebody to the group chat that you wish you wouldn't have, because perhaps somewhere in that group chat there were some things that maybe they shouldn't have seen or read? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh my God. I mean, that's the thing. I think when you talk to regular folks about this, like my wife had a couple of friends over a couple of nights ago, and you know, I said to them, you know, like, hey, have you, exact question that you did, you know, and they're like, oh my God, we've all been through that. And they all shared their stories around the person you didn't mean to carbon copy on a certain email or forward to somebody, or reply all, which is the worst, where it goes out to everybody when you did not want it to go to everybody but one person. I think we've all seen it. I think we've all done it. And again, I'm not the national security advisor, but I can understand how it could happen. And I guess we're fortunate in the sense where it didn't go to like a reporter from Al Jazeera or, you know, some Chinese spy like, you know, Fang, like Eric Swalwell's been going off on this yet. You know, you don't have a leg to stand on, Eric. Yeah, I have done that, and it was richly embarrassing because mine was the reply all variety. And I don't know if you want to hear the story, but do you want to hear the story?
Oh, I love to, Joe. Let's hear it. I love hearing embarrassing moments. It really humanizes you, Joe.
Yeah, self-deprecation is never a bad thing, I guess, even though this is a very big audience that's watching right now. But okay, that's fine. So I used to run a beach house at the Jersey Shore. What does that mean? That means you rent a house and then you bring in friends. But the houses are kind of expensive, so you have to bring in other people that you don't know. So you meet them at happy hours in the spring through advertisements and whatnot online. And then you decide if there's going to be a good match. And then you end up having like 30 people in the house when you really should have like, 20. But that's fine. And one time I replied all on a certain person that was coming down that may or may not have had some illness in a certain part of the house due to being overserved from tequila. And I said, boy, I hope blah, blah sticks to beer this time, because that was an awful mess. And, what a lightweight, something along those lines. And I just didn't mean for that to happen. And then I had to apologize over and over again. Now I'm actually very good friends with that person, but that was a tough one to get through, no question.
Well, listen, you could have just played that off like you were making a joke, like giving somebody a hard time, busting someone's balls a little bit. That's okay. I think most people have been in a far worse circumstance. I'll tell you this, my personal perspective, I hate group chats. And when I'm in a group chat that's just friends talking that are going back and forth, and I'm working and they're talking, I politely ask to be removed from the group chat. And it's usually something to the effect of, hey ladies, I have a job. And they take me out. Good. It's like, don't respond in the group chat. I don't want to hear it. Unless it's something that we all need to be in, we need to coordinate something. But if you guys are just talking back and forth, I don't want to be a part of it. Save you a lot of heartache. Let's get on to some other things this week that happened. The whole NPR thing yesterday I thought was pretty great. Just absolutely being grilled with their own words. Let's play a clip, one of the great clips that occurred yesterday, and let's all just relish in it.
Do you believe that America is addicted to white supremacy?
I believe that I tweeted that, and as I've said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
Do you believe that America believes in black plunder and white democracy?
I don't believe that, sir.
You tweeted that in reference to a book you were reading at the time, apparently, The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
You tweeted about it. You said you took a day off to fully read The Case for Reparations.
Apologies, I don't recall that I did.
Do you think that white people should pay reparations?
I have never said that, sir.
Yes, you did. You said it in January of 2020.
Joe, I mean, listen, there's a part of this where you can say, listen, I've evolved. My feelings on the matter have changed. I would think it would still be BS, but at least you could just say that. But saying like, I didn't do this when you tweeted it. I didn't read this when you said you read it. I mean, this is pretty bad.
This is why, Tommy, we need Jamal Bowman back in Congress, because Catherine Mayer, the CEO of NPR, really needed a fire alarm right about then. You know, it's like in Rocky IV where Drago's pummeling Apollo Creed and Rocky doesn't throw the towel. Somebody had to throw the damn towel there because, I mean, call 911. I never saw a congressman more prepared. And that's the beautiful thing about social media. You know, pain is temporary, but tweets are forever. And apparently that one representative, Gill, had all of them as far as everything she said. And it's so extreme, right, that we're addicted to white supremacy, Catherine Mayer once wrote, said that Donald Trump is a sociopath and a racist. There's a picture of her with a mask on with a Biden for president cap. I mean, you go down the line. The things that she said yesterday, she became a human Chernobyl. And, you know, if any of the folks from Doge were watching, I'm sure they were, Elon must be like, it must be thinking, wow, this is going to be an easy thing to cut, this NPR and PBS funding. And that's the thing. Like, what do they need government money for anymore? Let them be solvent. And obviously, they're not serving in the public interest. They're serving in the Democrat interest. When at one point they asked her, how many registered Republicans do you have on your staff? Because apparently there are 87 Democrats registered on their editorial board and 0 Republicans. That's really hard to do. Like, give me, you know, at least 50 and 30 or something. But no, that's what's going on there. So they don't deserve another dollar of taxpayer dime. And this is why elections have consequences. Donald Trump, J.D. Vance in office. I have a feeling that funding will be cut off. That doesn't mean PBS and NPR go away because it's not a big part of their budget, but the fact that they even get any government money to basically put out what's Pyongyang kind of propaganda, I think everybody would agree, like, they don't deserve it anymore. Even Democrats, I think, would agree with that to a certain extent.
Well, it's really hard when you have leaders like that have tweeted those things and then feign amnesia. They don't remember that
Seriously.
they tweeted or that they read a book. I mean, listen, lady, if you don't remember those things, then we've got another problem. I mean, that worked for Joe Biden. I'm not so sure it works for her as relatively a young lady there. You know, speaking of real debacles, I don't know. I know that you are a father of girls, or a girl, 2 girls, 1 girl. How many girls do you have, Joe?
I got 1 girl, I got 1 boy, I got 2 boy dogs, I got 3 frogs. I don't know what sex they are. But yeah, in terms of humans, I have 1 girl, 11-year-old Cameron, 5th grade, A student, all-star, all-state soccer player already. Scholarship.
I know.
UNLV, hopefully.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's what I would wish upon you, Joe, but I know that your daughter is a soccer star.
Yes.
Have you taken her to see the new Snow White movie?
No. I had to clean out the gutters last weekend, so I just couldn't quite find the time. And then this weekend, I'm cleaning out the salt shakers and probably doing a little Olive Garden with the wife. So I just don't think I'll be able to find the time, Tommy. I've never seen one star implode a movie quite like Rachel Zegler did. And this is really a problem for Hollywood studios right now in terms of social media. Like, I'm sure, like, Marilyn Monroe, like way back when, if she had Twitter or TikTok, maybe she would have said some things about the Kennedys or Sinatra or DiMaggio and all these guys that she was with that may have turned off some people. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, Norma Jean. But my point is that forever, Hollywood stars had this mystique and aura to them, like they were almost untouchable. You know, like when I was growing up, just to completely date myself, like Sigourney Weaver, for whatever reason, I was like extremely attracted to, like, as a teenager, because she was in Aliens and Ghostbusters and just had this kind of like, you know, thing to her. Molly Ringwald, same thing. I'm totally aging myself here at this point. But the point is, Tommy, that now these folks, Rachel Zegler, when they first started filming Snow White, 20 years old, right? And she's in Hollywood. Of course she's liberal. Now, when she signs a contract, if you're Disney, I would say, all right, social media needs to go away. All right. We will run the account for you to promote the movie or any interviews that you do. But as far as like personal feelings, sorry, if you want to do this movie and have the lead, you're not going to go there. And instead, she's doing pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas kind of posts on there when her co-star Gal Gadot literally served in the Israeli military forces, because that's when you're Israeli, it's pretty much mandatory. So yeah, that just totally tanked the movie. More than half the country was completely turned off, and then the reviews were horrible on top of that. So Disney, they used to, like, in their sleep, be able to make $1 billion movie. Whatever they put out, it's going to make $1 billion, like a Frozen, right? Now it's like, boy, they don't know what to do. And I think they've run out of remakes, Tommy. Like, there's no creativity or originality at this point. It's like, let's take this old movie and let's turn it into something completely different. And let's not even hire dwarfs to be the dwarfs in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We'll make them animated. And then we'll hire the most woke girl possible to play the lead. And let's see what happens. They need new leadership over there, because this was the biggest debacle I can remember of any movie ever, period.
Yeah, I mean, she's just uniquely bad too. And it's, it's like you can get away with maybe one tweet. I'll tell you this, I want to be fair, Joe. I really do hate it when they take somebody and they scour their tweets from when they were 15 years old. And they're like, look, this person said this, and now we're going to ruin their lives. Like, I don't like it when people do that, because I don't like the cancel culture. But it's not just that. It's that she did it, and then she continued to do it. And then after Trump was elected, she put out the tweet, wishing ill on Trump voters, and then the Free Palestine. And then going back to even interviews about the remake of Snow White, she was crapping on the story of Snow White. And just the whole, listen, if you have a remake, you can say we're doing things a little different. We're making it a little bit more modern. But no, she's like, it's not 1937 anymore. And she's just crapping on the original movie. You can't do that. And she just made it a horrible experience. And I think the movie is also bad. So a lot of things there. Interesting, though, I don't know if you saw it, but the son of one of the producers, his name is Jonah Platt. He actually has a podcast about being Jewish, but he unloaded on her and he deleted the comment, which I don't know why. Everybody's seen it. But he basically said, this brat ruined this movie. And a moment of truth coming from Hollywood, but he deleted it. What are your thoughts?
Well, again, I'll use the same term. Pain is temporary, but these sort of things are forever. And the reason why we see it on our screen right now is because people have these things called screenshots, and they can save these things very easily. So it's funny when people delete these things, because they tend to get more attention. But once again, I think, for instance, I write for the Washington Examiner now, right? And or I write books, right? I got my book on the Trump campaign coming out next month called The Greatest Comeback Ever, inside Trump's big, beautiful campaign, unburdened by what has been. And I have editors, right? And they tell me what can go into a story or a book, and what probably, maybe legally I have a problem. Maybe I don't have my sourcing that's strong enough, whatever. I have guardrails. All these folks now, and that includes so-called journalists, by the way, too, who are just opining on, places like X all day and then continue to insist that they're objective reporters or even actors, whatever. There's too much access to megaphones where people put every inane thought that they may have out there, and then this gets them in trouble, and then they realize it's trouble, and maybe the PR folks get involved, and by the time they want to erase it, too many people have seen it, and then it's going to be screenshotted, and then it becomes the type of story where Tomi Lahren and Concha are talking about it on Outkick. So that's where we are. Just too much access to being out there, I think, is ultimately going to bring down a lot more people than it helps.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think if you feel passionately about something and you feel passionately enough to write a paragraph about it, just leave it out there. Don't delete the comment. Just stand by it. Nothing of what he said was wrong. And I'm sure that the studios were like, oh, no. But it's like, listen, say it. If you felt that strongly about it, leave it out there. But just to delete it with no explanation when everybody else has already seen it, I think that's a little dumb. You're making it a bigger story. Here's something.
He may not have had a choice, though, right? PR people get involved, agent, you got to take this down. The studio's pissed. It could have been more, he was probably forced to take it down, I would think, but they weren't thinking clearly, to your point. Don't delete it, because, again, you talk about it more. It's like an admission of guilt, like I had it wrong. Maybe you didn't think you had it wrong. I don't know.
I hate when people say that you should delete things I think that's such an antiquated PR strategy for the new age of media. The whole hey, this didn't go over well, delete it. It's like, no, don't delete it. You're drawing attention to it. You're giving it life. If you want to apologize, apologize. If you don't, then just leave it there and move on. And people will move on to something else. People are vultures. Let's talk about something else that I wish we had moved on from, but unfortunately we're here in 2025 and we have not. Apparently there's going to be a Hawk Tuah documentary. Now this girl has already got a podcast. I think she also had a crypto scam that she had to apologize for. But now there's going to be a documentary on the girl that did the rather adult conversation on a man on the street interview, but now we're going to have a documentary. Joe, I don't know who's asking for this. It wasn't me.
That's the thing. I think that, for whatever reason, there's such a rush to make money quickly that documentaries like this are put out there, Tommy, and then you're like, no, this is not what I asked for. It's like, the Jen Rubin, George Conway like podcast. Like, no one wants this. In the end, I just think that the quality, like everything, when it comes to documentaries or movies, I don't know if there's thoughtful people in Hollywood anymore. I think it's more just superficial, woke stuff that just moves forward because it feels good, I guess, at the time. But no one's thinking about profits and no one's thinking about bringing in other people. I saw that Reagan movie last year and actually met Dennis Quaid, who's, I can't believe that guy's 70. It's unbelievable. I can see why he's married to a 31-year-old. It kind of makes sense now. They kind of almost look the same age. It's weird. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. The point is that, like, at least that movie, that documentary, it wasn't a documentary, it was like a docu-movie. That was original. Like, no one ever did one on Reagan before, and he's considered the best president of the 20th century.
Well, Joe,
Kennedy maybe,
Joe, to be fair, nobody's done a Hawk Tuah documentary. I think this is the first of its kind.
I think you're right. But I think overall, just, I don't know. Try to bring in more people in from not the middle of the country. I hate that's such a stereotype because I live in New Jersey and I'm pretty sure that I'm kind of a common sense person. But Hawk Tuah, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I have no words. I'm speechless. I'm without speech.
Well, I'll tell you this. It was an interesting moment for me as a Mets fan last year when they had this girl throw out the pitch. And I think there was a little uproar over at the Mets over that, you have a baseball game that's family friendly, and you have the girl known for what she's known for throwing out the first pitch. I thought was an interesting choice.
You think it's just an appeal to like young people, like, oh, it's hot online, so therefore we'll put that girl out there who, she went viral and everything, but I don't think that's the same people that go to baseball games. I just don't. I'm sorry.
No. That's a family event, and I think it was also a day game, so that makes it even worse. It's like, don't bring that, and then don't have her do a press conference afterwards. I mean, my Mets, I don't understand, but I think they've learned, they've moved on. Joe, it is opening day, and I believe you are a Yankees fan, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope.
You are a Yankees fan.
Go Cubs, go.
Oh, you're a Cubs fan. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I did not know that.
Very lovable.
Well, listen, it's opening day, and it's a great day for baseball fans. I'm happy that all the other sports that I could not care less about are relatively done for at this point. And now it's just spring and summer for baseball, which makes me very happy. Tell my audience as well about you. I mean, I don't know how you write all these books. Every time I turn around, Joe, you've got another book. I don't know what you do, how you pump these things out so quickly. I know there's a lot of thoughts in your mind, though, and you get up very, very early. So when you start your day at 3 a.m., I know there's a lot of room left. But tell me about Progressively Worse. Great title, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Progressively Worse was a book that I had out last year in July, and it was pretty prophetic. Because the second part of the title is why today's Democrats ain't your daddy's donkeys. And it's all about how they've gone from, say, John F. Kennedy Jr. And when he came into office, he inherits a recession. So what does he do? He drastically cuts taxes like no one's ever done before. And you're like, wait, a Democrat cut taxes? And he beefed up the military. And he didn't believe in racial quotas. He believed in meritocracy. You hear all this, you're like, wait, it's like MAGA Kennedy. Kind of makes sense now because Kennedy literally works for Donald Trump and HHS and Bobby Kennedy Jr. But so I compare like the Democratic Party with that, Tommy, and then, Jimmy Carter was a pro-life Democratic president. It's like, whoa. I mean, it blows your mind because I think there's like one Democrat left in all of like Congress and the Senate that's still pro-life. So that's extinct. Bill Clinton, go back and read his speeches sometime, Tommy, or listen to them. And he made Donald Trump sound like a wallflower when it comes to immigration and deportation. I mean, it was incredible. Oh, and by the way, the guy worked with the other side and had a balanced budget amendment with Newt Gingrich and said the era of big government's over and had welfare reform. Like Clinton was a Republican as well, right? And everybody thinks Monica. But before that, he kind of governed in the center, no question. And then Barack Obama also was called the deporter-in-chief by the left derisively, by the way. And at least seemed more like he had some civility to him compared to like Jasmine Crockett, who you talked about earlier, and AOC. You know, every Democrat has to have a, you know, an F-bomb in their tweets now because I guess they think it makes them look authentic. That Democratic Party is completely dead, and now we have whatever version's left, where the 5 biggest faces that you see on television at rallies right now, Tommy, is Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Bernie, Chuck Schumer, and goofy 80s sitcom dad Tim Walz. If those are the people you're putting out there, this party is not going to win a national election again. That I do know. These are not your daddy's donkeys, and it's why Donald Trump won the popular vote in every swing state, and Republicans took back the Senate in November, because people are voting not so much for conservative values, they're just voting for common sense. That's all we want now at this point, Tom.
What do you make of the Jasmine Crockett Hot Wheels comment and her trying to pass it off as if she was talking about Governor Abbott moving migrants from Texas to sanctuary cities? I mean, I think that was a clever attempt, but I don't think anybody's buying that.
Tommy, I mean, here's what I know, that she is like, I got a new puppy recently to complement my other dog. And we're trying to teach the puppy how to do certain things, come, sit down, roll over, paw, all that thing. If you reward bad behavior, then whether it's a puppy, whether it's a member of Congress, whether it's a child, they will continue to act bad. And Jasmine Crockett is acting this way, and it is acting, by the way, right? If you go back and look at her clips from a couple of years ago, she didn't speak this way. She's being rewarded for this bad behavior because the bookers over at CNN and MSNBC and The View and all these other podcasts, now she is the hottest commodity out there because she's going to say provocative things that go viral. Provocative things for all the wrong reasons, mind you. I mean, last week she said that Elon Musk should be, quote, taken out as a present for her birthday. Taken out. This is after we had nearly two assassination attempts on Donald Trump. He nearly died in one of them. And then she said just like 2 days ago that Ted Cruz needs to be hit over the head hard. We all remember what happened to Rand Paul when he was attacked and ended up in the hospital for 6 weeks, or when we had Steve Scalise and other members of Congress literally shot at a baseball field in Virginia. So she is playing this game now, and instead of producers and executives at other networks and at other places saying, no, we're not going to put this person on. She is completely reckless. She's going to get somebody killed eventually because there's enough jobs out there that's going to take her seriously. Nope, they just keep booking her and just keep propping her up. And fine, if you're a Republican, I guess you like that. But at the same time, this is what gets you more on cable news, and she's being rewarded for all this stuff. And to attack a guy in a wheelchair who's been in that wheelchair since he's 26, and then to say that, no, I actually wasn't really saying anything about the wheelchair, was because he was shipping immigrants to black cities. No one buys that, but it doesn't matter because she's still going to be beloved by the left. And I guess that's how they're going to conduct themselves because they think more airtime's a good thing. I'd say in this case, it's the worst thing for the party if she is the face of the party, Tommy.
It's all they can do to compete with Donald Trump is to try, again, there's a place for that, but it exists on VH1. The last thing I really do want to ask you about, now that I just thought of it and the optics of all of it, I want your unfiltered take on the optics of DHS Secretary Kristi Noem standing in front of cages full of gang migrants in El Salvador. What did you think of it? Did you think that it sent a strong message? Do you think that it looked awkward? How did it make you feel?
I think Donald Trump knows optics. I think he's known it since, The Apprentice, even before that, and when I lived in New York, he was in this place called Page Six, like the gossip column of the day, like seeming like almost every day, right? The guy just knows how to put on a presentation. And I think with Noem, I think with, say, Pam Bondi, when MS-13 leader was arrested and she's right there, all these boots on the ground that we seem to have, I think it's smart. I think it is. It shows an administration that's doing something after an administration that did nothing when it came to violent criminals, gang members illegally coming into the country and murdering and raping people. And it shows that not only are we deporting them, she's going down there to make sure that they're going to stay there. And she's going to meet with El Salvador leaders to make sure that they are doing their part in terms of taking these people back. So I think, baseball cap low always looks good on a girl. I mean, I wrote columns about this when I used to write about relationships when I was single in Hoboken. Always wear the cap low, bend the rim as much as possible. When she does that, I'm sorry. I think it looks great, and I think it shows. Those type of things go viral more than just some sort of press release that she went to El Salvador. Show up
Joe,
and
she
do
was
the
never
job.
going to just go to El Salvador and not take a photo. I mean, Listen,
I know.
I think that it's a powerful message when you see, listen, this is the conditions you're going to be sent to. It's kind of like the Scared Straight show when they used to take kids into prisons and be like, this is what happens to you, scared straight. I think that that's a wonderful message. I think it's a great deterrent. The visual of the social media clip with all of those tatted up gang members behind her just staring as she stood there, t-shirt and allegedly, reportedly, a Rolex watch on, with the extensions and the full face of makeup. That was quite the image. Hang that in the Smithsonian.
Yeah, badass, no question. Do you have any tattoos, Tommy? I'll tell you if you tell me.
Do I have tattoos? Oh, yes, I sure do. I sure
Really?
do. Yeah, not the same as the MS-13, though. However, I will say this. Few people know this, Joe. I have two face tats. One brow and the other brow just tatted up. So I guess you could say I'm harder than most people think.
Yeah, you sold it. I figured you had like Mr. Met on like your ankle or something. Like I was going for that, but okay, I'll take the eyebrows. That's fine. I have none. Zero. I have a birthmark. I figure that's good enough.
Well, Joe, now is as good a time as any. I don't recommend taking any inspiration from the gentlemen that were behind Kristi Noem, but
No.
you know what? You do you, Joe. It might sell the next book. I think it would be an interesting visual. I appreciate you as always. I hope to see you very soon on one of these days on one of our mutual shows. Thank you so much and have a fantastic weekend not seeing Snow White.
Oh, yes. Thank you. That won't be happening. Appreciate that, Tommy. Good to see you as always.
Good to see you, Joe. Or hear you, at least. One day I will see you.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all good. All right, folks, that does it for this wide-ranging Thursday episode of Tomi Lahren is Fearless. I will see you right back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern with an episode I think you're really going to love and appreciate. Also, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Tomi Lahren is Fearless. From Nashville, God bless and take care. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want more of my hottest takes, must-see conversations, and of course, my final thoughts, click here and make sure you subscribe here so you never miss a beat. I'll be here every weekday, and I hope you'll join me.